You are listening to the FCI London podcast featuring some of London's most influential designers. If you are new or you don't know much about interior design, but you feel like your house really needs some help, be it in a small or a big way, this podcast is for you. I'm your host, Lucy Goldbart, and today I'm speaking to the renowned interior designer, Lucy Goldbart. She has her own luxury design studio, Lucy Goldbart Interior Design, which she founded in 2022. She's known for her signature style of effortlessly cool luxury. She has recently also been named one of Homes and Gardens top 25 next in design for 2025 and is a finalist in this year's SBID International Design Awards. Lucy, welcome. We are delighted to have you with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's lovely to be here. I really appreciate you inviting me on to talk.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. Well, let's maybe start with a few introductory questions just about who you are, how you got to where you are today in the luxury design world, if you could give us some background.
Sure. So I set up, as you kind of mentioned, I set up my company almost 4 years ago. My background has always been in ultra high-end luxury interior design. I worked for two of the top UK design studios before setting up my company. I've always kind of specialized in high-end luxury, but I've done a lot of projects abroad as well. So we work in the UK, but also through kind of internationally. So we have projects at the moment in Antigua, in Miami, and then a few in London, in Chelsea, and Little Venice as well.
Okay, so you must travel quite a lot for your work.
I do, yeah. We try and keep the kind of the travel to what is actually required for the projects. So I'm probably every couple of months I'm off to see our sites. It's interesting at the start of our projects because we do a lot of new builds, so we work on a lot of projects which are maybe 3 or 4 years in the making.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll try and go out and meet the clients at the beginning, and then we like to do any presentations in person. But apart from that, actually, we'll find that for the first year or so, we don't need to go out there because we are, the builders are, laying foundations, laying the groundwork, and we don't really need to be out there to see that. So that's kind of more of a down period. But then the last year or so of the project where the tiles go in, the materials, finishes, etc., that's when we're out there a lot more. So that's when we're out there every couple of months, which is actually the stage we're at with quite a few of our projects at the moment.
Yeah. In terms of your own studio, was there maybe a defining moment where you knew, like, this is what I want to do? I want to open my own studio.
I think I'd always known I wanted to be an interior designer, but I think I didn't know I wanted to have my own studio probably until I was given the opportunity to actually run my own projects at my previous companies. So I was quite lucky, actually. I was when I started out as a junior at my first job. I was working underneath a senior designer with a lot more experience than me. She was running a variety of projects, and I was obviously, very junior, helping as kind of backup support. She actually then, her name was Steph, she moved back to Australia, and I was quite lucky she wasn't actually replaced for about a year. So in that interim, I was given the opportunity to take over and run those projects. And I think it was one of those sink or swim moments. And I go, oh my gosh, this is overwhelming. Or you step up to the plate. And I think I loved the responsibility. I loved the ownership of the projects, having kind of full creative control. And we're designing people's homes. It's not a responsibility that I take lightly, but I liked that pressure. Yeah. So it made me realize that one day I'd want my own studio. Then I was just really waiting for the right opportunity. Which came around, 8 or so years later.
Oh, wow, that's awesome. And maybe just for yourself, did you always know, you mentioned you knew you wanted to be an interior designer. Is that what you've always wanted to be? Or was it sort of a winding road for you to get to where you are today?
I think so. I mean, I'd always loved those home renovation programs when I was younger. The kind of changing rooms, like they were my favorite programs. When I was little, I used to kind of constantly redecorate my room the whole time. I think I'd always known that I wanted to do something to do with interior design. And then many years ago, I lived in Paris for a while, and I spent my weekends pretty much just roaming the streets of Paris, like admiring the architecture, soaking it all up, and also spending far too much time in the flea markets of Paris, where I just collected lots and lots of kind of vintage pieces of furniture that didn't really fit in my like Parisian studio apartment. I love to, to collect like fabulous pieces, and I thought I'd use them somewhere. And that, I think, cemented it for me. this is what I want to do 100%.
Okay. And you describe your style as effortlessly cool luxury. Like, how do you translate that style into a space that feels beautiful and lived in and comfortable?
Yeah, I mean, I think we like to evoke that sort of effortless, sort of California cool luxury vibe in our projects. I think what
Yeah.
that means to me is that a space should feel not just beautiful, but also comfortable and livable.
Mm.
So we see so many pictures online of very pretty spaces, but they're not that practical, and they're also they feel almost picture perfect, like you shouldn't touch anything in them. They're a hotel. We design people's homes. We want people to feel comfortable. We want them to feel like they can sort of kick off their shoes and relax. And so I think people's homes should feel not just beautiful, but also kind of cool and like edgy and like an interesting person lives there. I think, yeah, the way we probably do that is we blend, I'd say, earthy, warm, minimalist palettes with sort of maximalist form. So we
Yeah.
really like to play up with like fun shapes, sort of volume, and then we kind of play it a little bit kind of play down the color, probably color and pattern, so that we can have more fun with, yeah, with shape and form. And I think that gives more maybe pockets of interest and makes a space seem more interesting and a bit more.
Okay. Exactly. Yeah. But it still
We're
should
not overly
feel
fussy with
sophisticated
detail,
and yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
And I think we also use practical materials. So even if we have
Mm.
a client who wants to have, a very light, airy, creamy palette, like a home with a cream palette, we'll make sure that the cream fabric on your sofa is, scotch guarded so it's stain proofed, or we might use an outdoor fabric so that you wouldn't need to worry if the kids are going to come in with, coloring pencils and like, that you've got to be able to relax in them. Also using natural materials, I'm going on, but I think using natural materials makes a big difference. It makes you feel more calm. We don't use amounts of like metals or shiny surfaces. We use lots of natural woods, lime wash
Yeah.
plasters, things that are inherently natural and feel a bit more casual.
And how do you adjust that approach to different clients? Like, if I can say it like that, which questions do you ask your clients to get behind what is in their mind for a space?
We start every project with a super in-depth briefing, and that's kind of split into two aspects. So one is the aesthetic, is what do you love? Do you have any inspiration images you want to share with us? Are there images that you love, or are there colors that you love, things like that? And then we also, the other part is we ask, how do you want to feel in the space? Like, how will you live? Like, what are your routines? Do you want to wait, if you have, a large family home, do you want to
Yeah.
wake up in the morning and have a moment of peace and quiet before you see the kids? Do you want to relax with your coffee? If you do, then you probably don't want to have to go downstairs, sit in the kitchen in order to have your coffee, because they're going to be kids screaming around, and that's
Yeah.
amazing. But you might want 10 minutes of peace just before you go downstairs. A
Yeah.
lot of our clients are like that. And if that is the case, then we try and integrate like a small coffee station in the bedroom. A bit like if you
Mm.
were in a hotel, we have like a little tea station or coffee station
Yeah.
where the parents can go, have their drinks, sit down, have a little relax for 10 minutes, and then set themselves up for the day. So I think it's about teasing it out of the clients, finding out what they love, and then how they want to live, and blending those together. We always agree on mood imagery before we kind of delve too far into the design. So after
Yeah.
that briefing, we'll say, let's take all that information we've gleaned. We'll kind of revert back to you with our own version of that. So taking it
Mm.
a step further, maybe, and saying, this is what we think, our interpretation of your brief with our own spin
Yeah.
on it. Is that something that works for you?
But I understand you also like to source like 20th century pieces. You mentioned earlier about the pieces that you got in Paris and that you liked so much. How do you incorporate that?
I think that some people are scared by the idea of like secondhand, like antiques or vintage. And there is such an easy way to blend them into your home that is, if you have a contemporary home, that does
Yeah.
not mean that every single piece needs to be new. It's nice to fill a home with character. So we always do a combination of new pieces, custom furniture for clients, and then a scattering of some vintage. And I think I do use the word vintage rather than antique, because I think there is a bit of a difference. Like when I think antique, what comes to mind is like it's more like antique brown furniture, which is obviously a bit harder to blend in with very contemporary new furniture.
Yeah, I can think it makes a project more unique.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us a bit more about how collaborating with FCI London has helped bring a vision in the way that you design and the way that you implement your designs. How has it maybe helped you bring your vision to life?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've worked on a project recently, actually. We're doing the design of a duplex penthouse in Chelsea. The clients are art collectors. They love, fab contemporary pieces of furniture. And our vision originally was, let's keep the palette a little bit simple and then add bright splashes of color, of interest,
Oh,
sculptural furniture. So we were thinking maybe some pops of an Eve Klein blue or something interesting, just pieces that spark interest, almost like comfortable but art furniture that doubles up as an artwork.
okay.
Um, and we were looking for an interesting table as like a centerpiece for the dining room. And we thought maybe we'll find maybe we'll do a wooden sculptural table, but it wasn't really, there was nothing that was all that kind of exciting or popping for us. And we had a particular problem that we wanted to do an extendable table, which has, its own issues. But the client had said to us, could we maybe do a marble? And we thought, well, we love to do marble, but that is not easy to do an extendable marble table from a purely
Yeah.
technological perspective. It's a tricky thing. But then we came across actually the drain at dining tables from FCI, which
Mhm.
were well, they're amazing. And they have a variety of different shapes that were really really cool. But we've used one that is a really strong green marble tabletop that extends. It's a kind of organic shaped top with a sculptural bronze base, and it's the perfect addition to the room because it's become the feature of the room. And if you walk
Yeah.
in, we have this sort of statement monolithic green marble tabletop, and actually we've changed the furniture around it on that basis.
Yeah.
We were thinking about doing maybe funky dining chairs, and we realized that this is such a feature. We want to keep everything else a bit more calm. So now we're going to do some kind of simple, sort of dark navy charcoal dining chairs, but we're keeping them very, very neutral. The feature of the room is this amazing piece of marble. Yeah, FCI have cleverly managed to make a fab extendable dining table. So that's the dining table that we've chosen for the project. So
Okay.
it's an amazing green kind of
Mm.
textured green dining tabletop. And you can see we've kind of kept the rest of the room, the dining table, a bit more neutral. And we've actually picked up on the marble, on the green marble from the dining table with our custom rug. So we've taken the pom colours straight
Okay.
from the marble dining tabletop.
Okay.
It's quite a clever feature, and actually went into the
Mhm.
FCI showroom because my fear with the extendable table is always that you're going to have some big clunky mechanism that you're going to see. And I didn't really want that to be a feature. Obviously, I think with an extendable table, you want it to be discreet.
Yeah.
Like to test everything for our clients in advance. So went in, you basically just pull. You can almost see a line there, and then a line across here, and you pull the table, and it comes out quite easily,
Oh,
and then push down, and it goes back in. So yeah, this
okay.
is the table will be installing in a couple months' time, which we're super
Mm.
excited to do, and then we'll share some actual images once it's been installed.
FCI is known for their curated luxury bespoke furniture collections. Now, how would you say their range aligns with your bespoke client-centered approach?
So I think the way that the FCI worked really well for us on the latest project was
Mhm.
that I'm very particular. Like, we have to be for our clients, what our clients pay us for. We're doing a material, whether that is a bronze or a marble. I want to see it in person. I want to, if it's marble, I want to sign off the exact slab, not just, oh, this is a nice jade green marble, but I want to see
Yeah.
the actual slab that we're going to be using on the furniture, check that I'm happy that it doesn't have any cracks in and dirt, that sort of thing. And FCI
Mm.
were actually brilliant with that. So they totally understood where I was coming from, that,
Yeah.
our clients were expecting perfection and we need to double check that. So,
Yeah.
so I went into the FCI showroom, and
Yeah.
we looked through all the different slab options that were available for the dining table that we had chosen. And then FCI actually emailed me through actual photos of those slabs later. So we picked the slab, and then I said,
Okay.
"Can I see it from a different angle? Just to be difficult. Is that thing on the corner? Is that a crack, or what is that? Don't worry, we'll clean up the slab and we'll send it over to you." And then SCI sent me a photo maybe 2 days later with the full slab cleaned up. So this is what it will look like. looked beautiful and we signed it off there. But we need that extra like attention to detail, and I think
Mm.
most furniture showrooms won't do that.
Awesome. Okay. Well, let's maybe talk a bit about trends and clients and where it's all going. So, I know you have worked across many cultures. Have you maybe noticed any universal trends in luxury interiors at the moment, no matter where you go?
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a hard one for us to pinpoint like client trends always, because we do work on
Yeah.
such a variety of projects that if we just did London, I could say, oh, well, all these clients in London are now asking for this.
Yeah.
I think rather than one specific style, what our clients have been maybe doing the last few years is just getting a little bit bolder or wanting to have like more interesting pieces in their home.
Mm.
I think we spend so long on our homes that people want
Mhm.
to have really interesting spaces. And so I think they're
Yeah.
more open to taking risks, which we love. It's always more fun for us to do it like really interesting, bold design. So
Yeah.
I think that's probably the thing I've noticed the most, that people are more open to using a bit more color and maybe kind of color washing a whole room, which we love to do as well. So if we're going to do a green room, we like to do every surface green, or that is our accent throughout. So we might have a green bedroom. Here we did a project recently where we had a gorgeous green
Mhm.
velvet headboard, but we also did the whole all the bedding was green, and then we had green accents on the rug as well. We pull a trend a bit through. I mean, I wouldn't say only
Mm.
one accent color through the home, but we find that clients like gravitate towards certain colors. So we may
Mm.
have green in a couple different rooms as the accent. I reckon we normally have at least two accent colors in a home. So there may be a
Okay.
couple rooms with green, a couple rooms with like an ochre burnt orange. Unless it's like if it's a kid's room, then lots of different kids might like lots of different colors. But
Mhm.
otherwise, there tends to be some sort of theme running throughout their homes. So whether it's a sort of an ode to nature, so then there's more, yeah, there is more greeny tones, or if it's they may
Mm.
love sunset hues, we're going to totally do that.
Just in today's clients, if you compare them to clients that you worked with earlier in your career, how would you say are they different?
There's two things. I think in terms of like being more adventurous, it's probably not just the clients are more adventurous. I think the older I get, the longer that I work, that I do it for, the more confident I am to say, listen, this is an amazing idea. The only other thing the change I've seen is from toxic materials. But that's requests that have come from our stateside clients. So our clients in Miami, etc. They want to make sure that the materials they're using aren't toxic, that the paints they're using are kind of VOC free, that kind of they're more conscious of the chemicals that go into their home. So we use a lot
Okay.
of lime wash as a result because it's very breathable and kind of it's very good for you and good for
Yeah.
the environment. But then we've always used lots of natural materials anyway. Yeah.
Okay. Is there maybe a particular material or bespoke luxury furniture or even design detail from your global travels that you find yourself using for maybe more than one project now?
I think lime wash is actually probably
Yeah.
the one for us at the moment. We
Okay.
absolutely love lime wash. We're using it on so many projects throughout, kind of all over the
Mm.
world. It's kind of semi-translucent paint. So
Okay.
it's a water-based, like limestone-based paint, which gives you a very cloudy, painterly effect in every room. So it's very soft and kind of enveloping. So we use
Mm.
that on skirtings, walls, corners, ceiling throughout. We actually love to do it on every surface of like a wall and ceiling. So we think that it makes a project look very seamless.
Yeah.
And we use that in lieu of normal paints a lot of the time now. The other one's probably travertine, actually. That I mean, I know travertine's been around for a million years, but it's such a versatile stone.
Mm.
That we've got a project in Miami where we're using it in multiple different rooms, but we're using different versions of travertine because I
Oh,
think
okay.
some people think, oh, it's this type of stone, it looks exactly like X. That's not the case. There's with every stone, the reason we pick the slab is because every slab looks different. Every quarry has a
Mm.
different version. So
Yeah.
in the kitchen of our Miami project, we're using a very like deeply striated, very striking dark travertine. And then in the master bathroom of the same project, we're using a very light, soft, kind of almost off-white travertine. So even though it's
Mm.
the same stone, it looks completely different.
Yeah, which also probably gives uniqueness to every home because you don't find exactly the same thing at any other place.
That was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. So these days, of course, no discussion is complete if we're not touching on the effect that AI has on the workplace. I don't know if you've been involved with AI a bit, but I really like to hear your thoughts. Is it something that you maybe are experimenting with in your design these days?
I'm concerned about it. And I think that lots of people think that I'm very old fashioned or like silly for saying this, but it actually does concern me I work in a creative industry, and I think there are applications where it is incredible. You take the medical field, and AI and advances in
Yeah.
technology are unbelievable. And I completely see the valid reasons for that. But in a creative field, I worry that it will replace innovative thinking or creativity, because it is much easier to think, hold on, let me just, rather than sitting down and thinking, what would look amazing here? Or can I come up with something interesting to say, okay, quick solution, let me put it in a chat GPT. Does right, yeah, let me send that to the client. That works, easily done. Or even like, particularly in things like writing, I think that you can fine tune an email so well in a chat GPT or like using AI software. But the more that we do that, the less our brains are being forced to actually process the like what we're writing, or kind of, or think about it. And I think that maybe not our generation, because we've been used to it, we've had to think for ourselves so long. But I
Yeah.
think you have to learn how to do it first, and
Mm.
learn, like, practice using creative thinking and problem solving before you just rely on AI. Otherwise, you'll never have those skills in the first place. And there are
Yeah.
situations where you can't use AI and you can't use software, and you need to be able to do that.
Well, I just want to ask a bit about your awards. I am aware that you have received numerous awards for outstanding and diverse designs. Would you maybe explain to us, us normal folk who maybe not know what the significance are of these awards? Would you maybe explain just a little bit for us to understand?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think that industry awards or recognition
Hmm.
is something that probably, as your younger self, you're always kind of gearing up to. You're hoping that that will come. I think it's just a nice acknowledgement of the hard work you put in over time, that you're recognized amongst your peers. I think
Yeah.
it's nice to have validation for all the long hours and hard work that you put in. So I think that's really lovely. I actually think what has influenced me more, though, is probably just client feedback. I think I found that we've kind of, what has progressed, almost kind of progressed my career even more, is when a client is really, really happy with their home. And it's that feedback that's probably the most important to me, because it's
Okay.
brilliant. And it's such an honor to be kind of getting nominations and awards from bodies like the Society of British and International Interior Designers. But the people's whose lives you're affecting by doing the design are the clients. It may sound lame, but I have letters from clients that I've got framed in the office, because that to
Wow.
me is it's the nicest thing. It's like, I
Yeah.
couldn't possibly want for more than someone that walks into their home and says, oh my God, this is more than I can have dreamed of. And
Yeah.
they're living in it every day at the end of the day. So
And they're
that's
happy
what I'm
with it. Yeah.
super, super excited about. Yeah.
Maybe just before we end, let me ask, can you tell us where we can follow your latest work? Is there maybe a social media handle or somewhere we can see what you are working on?
Yeah, absolutely. The best place to find us is on my Instagram. It's
Mhm.
at lucygoldbart.com. But that's the
Okay.
best place to kind of to keep up to date with our projects. I post a lot on the stories as well. We leave the live projects on the stories, and then the finished ones go
Mhm.
on.
Yeah, it's interesting to learn about the behind the scenes things as well, definitely. Yeah. Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to follow that. We'll be looking out on social media. And thank you so much for making time for us, Lucy. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having
And
me. Really, really happy to chat to you.